So if you're new to the channel, my name is Marshall-Powell. I typically do travel vlog content in Colombia and in Latin America, but I wanted to take this opportunity to consolidate some of the information that I've gained from my time living in Colombia and to address some of the most frequently asked questions that I get on the vlog videos about being or living in Colombia. So without further ado, let's jump right into my top 5 reasons that you need to visit Colombia right now. Coming in at number 5 is the prices. Now, first, it's important to acknowledge that just by being born in a higher cost of living area, you have the privilege to be able to go to a lower cost of living area and have your buying power be extended 4, 5, 6 times. It's certainly the case when you live in the United States or the United Kingdom or Australia or Canada or a lot of different areas, and you're traveling to somewhere like Colombia. But it would be naive to not acknowledge that that's a huge benefit or a huge pro to visiting Colombia. So to be more specific, I find that my buying power ranges, the US dollar ranges from 4 to maybe 6 or 7 times of the buying power that it has in the United States. For example, like a haircut in the United States, I'll typically pay, $20 bucks, $25 maybe, a little lower, a little above that. But in Colombia, you're going to pay about $2 for a really good haircut. Another example would be a taxi. I've taken taxis from the very south of Bogota to the very north of Bogota, the biggest city in Colombia, where there's tons of traffic. That can take 45 minutes or an hour or more. And that's typically about $5 in an Uber or a taxi. And there's a bunch of ride-sharing apps out there, and they're all pretty cheap. $5 is a pretty typical price you would pay. Where in the States, I think that would be easily $30, $40 to get across town. Another example would be housing, like renting a place or anything like that. Typically when I travel, I will do Airbnbs just for the convenience. When I was in Cali earlier this year, I got a really nice 2-bedroom apartment right in San Antonio, a really touristy, super comfortable area of Cali. I really enjoyed it. And I had 2 bedrooms and a beautiful rooftop terrace and great Wi-Fi, fully serviced, and it was about $600 for the whole month. I mean, in the downtown, in the United States, in a big city, I don't even want to know what that would go for. It certainly would be more than $600, though. You can absolutely go cheaper than that. If you just contact, when you see like a for rent sign on an apartment down there, you go straight to the landlord. You can get something way cheaper. I was pretty close to renting a studio apartment in a great area of Armenia, Colombia, for about $260, $270 a month. And so there's absolutely cheaper ways that you can go about doing it. And the one last point I want to touch on for prices, the one last price I want to touch on that will lead us into reason number 4 why you need to travel to Colombia is the cost of food. So quickly to touch on that, the cost of food in Colombia for a typical menú del día, which is the meal of the day, which you'll find all over Colombia, can range from about $1.75 up to maybe $4, maybe $4.50 at the most, and if you're in a more expensive area. But it's not just the prices that make food number 4 on my list of reasons why you need to visit Colombia. So let's talk about what the food or what the cuisine is in Colombia. So Colombian cuisine is simple, it's healthy, and it's cheap. Let's take a look, for example, what am I even talking about for a typical Colombian dish. So comida típica, the typical Colombian food, what you'll get is a slice of meat. That could be chicken, beef, pork, fish. You'll get 2 of sides, and it'll be a variety. It could be beans or rice or a little salad or a cold pasta, a bunch of things. You'll get a fried plantain a lot of the time on that dish, which is delicious. You'll get a soup on the side, and it can be all different types of soup, creamy soups, noodle soups, and that's arguably the best part of the dish, in my opinion. And then you'll get a juice of all different types of fruits. Jamaica, pineapple, mango, all types of different stuff. And so typically you'll get this at any time of the day, a lunch or a dinner, and that's really what they refer to as menú del día. What you have in that cuisine is something that's incredibly healthy for eating out when you're considering eating out. almost like a Whole30 type meal, if you've heard of that type of thing. That's what puts it so high on my list, actually. Back in 2017, when I was first in Colombia, in Bogota, I made a video talking about my thoughts on Colombian food. And in that video, I kind of expressed both sides, where I was excited by how simple and healthy it is, but also kind of let down because it can be kind of a bland cuisine when you're talking about how simple things are relative to something like a Mexican cuisine, or a lot of American foods maybe, or something like Peruvian food. So it's important to acknowledge that. However, I've grown to appreciate it more and more to where it is probably my favorite cuisine in the world. And the biggest reason being, I know that I look like I'm 13 years old, but I'm actually 30 years old. And the things that I put in my body affect the way that I feel. And so I notice that when I spend extended periods in Colombia and I eat out for every meal, I don't feel weighed down, or I don't feel low energy, or I don't feel the food catching up to me, even though I'm eating out for every single meal. That's one of the few cuisines that I can say that I've experienced that you can truly eat out for every meal and feel good. I mean, the health combined with the price, it just makes it very realistic. When you're someone like me who doesn't like to cook, that's perfect, honestly. And when you're not inside cooking all day, you have more time to do other things outside, leading into reason number 3 is the weather. Colombia has a generally warm climate all over the country from what I've experienced. But in there's a little bit of range, so you can kind of get what you're looking for. If you like something that is super hot, you can be up on the coast near Cartagena, and you'll get temperatures in the 90s and maybe even in the hundreds Fahrenheit. And it's humid, but you're right there on the beach, and so you can have that ocean breeze, and it feels great. And it's just a beautiful beach part of the country, and that's all along that coast, on the northern coast. If you're looking for similarly warm weather, you can find that out in Cali. It's not unbearable. It's definitely very warm, but it's still a really nice warm climate if that's something that you're looking for. Dance your salsa outside, enjoy yourself there. If you're looking for something on the opposite end, a little more cool, a little more mild, you can check out Bogota. Bogota gets cold. It doesn't get freezing or snowy weather from what I've seen, but you'll generally need to have a sweater or a jacket, and it'll rain a little bit more there, and so you might feel more at home coming from something like Seattle or London. I certainly felt very, very at home coming from Seattle to Bogota. To be honest, the majority of people will probably enjoy the weather most in the state of Antioquia, where Medellin and Pereira, Armenia, are located. Medellin is nicknamed the City of Eternal Spring, and rightfully so. It's about 80 degrees every day, all year long. Never really too hot, never really too cold. It's just perfect. I remember getting to Medellin and just feeling like it was perfect outside. And I'm sure a lot of people feel like that when they go. And I would say the majority of people would probably enjoy that weather the most. And just because I say it's perfect weather and 80 degrees doesn't mean it's always sunny or it's like really dry or something like that. It's actually very green and wet and healthy all over Colombia from what I've seen. But that rain is a little different, certainly what I was used to coming from Seattle. In Colombia, when it rains, it will typically happen for like 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours maybe, and it's a very intense rain. And so you basically just have to go inside, or you just kind of find something else to do inside in shelter while it rains, and then it'll dry up and then it'll be a beautiful sunny day again, which is super new for me. You're coming from Seattle, it's basically just kind of raining for 9 months out of the year, and it's just gray. So I thought it was super refreshing. And I'll give you guys a pro tip that I learned from my friend Carolina when I was there in Armenia. Because of that rain, you always want to bring 2 pairs of shoes when you're traveling to Colombia, because if you get caught in that rain, your shoes and all of your clothes are going to be soaked for a few days. So it's important to have a backup. Now, moving on to reason number 2 is the nightlife. Now, I don't want to lose you if you're not typically a nightlife kind of person. Just bear with me, because I am not really either, or I wasn't before I came to Colombia. Coming here and experiencing what the nightlife is here really changed my whole perspective on it. The biggest difference that I found here compared to being in the United States was that going out here is really built around dancing. You'll typically go out and absolutely you'll get your aguardiente, you get your drinks, and sit around and talk a little bit with friends. But pretty much all throughout the night, you're gonna be dancing different types of genres and all different types of songs that come on, whether it's salsa, bachata, merengue, reggaeton, or ranchera, or something a little more like sing along. And I found that to be a way, way more fun way to pass the night rather than kind of sitting around at a table or something like that, which is kind of more of my experience in the United States. Now, I also don't want to scare you off if you have decided that you're not a dancing person, because I understand that. Before I came to Colombia, I had never really danced before. It's important to note, when you come, nobody expects you to be a good dancer. Everybody dances. And you look out in the club where you are, and you see some people are really good dancers and some people are really bad dancers, and it doesn't matter. And everybody does it, and there's not a big embarrassment about being good or bad. And I thought that was an important difference. And I found that when I was here and I would go out, girls would be so excited and happy to teach me the basic steps in dancing. And I know it goes the other way too. If you're a girl coming here, or if you're a follow coming here and you are interested in learning, there are so many leads or guys that would be interested in teaching you how to dance, because that's just how the people are. And actually, you have an advantage. Being a foreigner, nobody expects you to know anything. They expect you to be very bad at dancing. So come in with that advantage and just understand that no one expects anything, and enjoy it, and get taught the basics, and just understand that like nobody is being critical of you, because it's just part of the culture here. And then eventually you kind of learn the basics, and it's a really, really fun way to pass the night. But speaking of the patience of the people who will be so excited to help you dance, brings me to reason number one of why you need to travel to Colombia right now. Because all of this fun nightlife experience and the dancing, teaching each other and laughing and having fun, it doesn't work without the people. Reason number one why you need to travel to Colombia is the people. And this could be a whole series of videos just by itself. This is absolutely the only reason you need to come to Colombia to experience this country, is because of the people. Just to get straight to it, I have never met people more warm, welcoming, genuine, curious, and playful, and beautiful than I have in Colombia. I've made some of my greatest friendships here in the shortest amounts of time, with the easiest experience in doing so. I have 3 different examples that just pop up on the top of my head about making friends here in Colombia, but there's so many others experiences that I will leave for another day. The first example is when I was living in Armenia, and I would go to this restaurant that just made burritos, and it was owned by this lady and this guy. Every day they were so friendly and so curious about what I was doing there in Colombia and about my life, and in turn I was very curious about their lives. And I'm a generally pretty shy person, so when someone is so inquisitive about your life, it just makes things really easy. But by the end of a few days, we had exchanged numbers, and they were inviting me to go hiking with them or to come to parties with them. And it was just incredibly easy to make a good friend there just by going out to a restaurant and ordering a burrito. And you can actually see them in that video, like why it's called Why Making Friends in Colombia is Easy. And that was a video back from 2017, a vlog that I did. The second example you will know if you followed my vlogs back from 2017 is also when I was living in Armenia teaching English. That's my friend Elizabeth. We taught English together at this English school in Armenia. And just from teaching together a couple times a week, we just hit off a great, super natural friendship, because we just had great chemistry with each other. And she became one of my best friends at that time living in Colombia, and I'm still in touch with her to this day. And I actually only lived in Armenia for 1 month, but in that time she invited me on her moped to go explore the different little small towns located around Armenia. When I left Armenia, she invited me over to her house to eat a a nice, delicious lunch with her mom and her dad and her brothers and her nephews as kind of a going away lunch. And I felt so lucky and fortunate to be a part of that. And it was really just that friendship that Elizabeth extended to me. And I think it's just part of that Colombian culture to really make people feel like family right out of the gate. And that's absolutely how I felt being out there. The third example was actually just a few months ago when I was in Pereira, Colombia. I was only in Pereira for like 5 days. And actually what had happened was pretty much every day that I was there, I had to go to this place to mail something back to the United States. And Carlitos was working there. And right out of the gate, Carlitos was super curious about me, super friendly, and we just hit it off really naturally. And I'm just smiling thinking about him. He's such a fun guy. But I ended up having to go back to that place every day to kind of, cross some T's, dot some I's when I'm sending something back to the States. And we would always end up just chatting for 20, 30 minutes, laughing. And then the third or fourth day, we go out and kind of explore Pereira, just the two of us. And I left Pereira after 5 days feeling like I had a real, genuine friendship with Carlitos, that I'm excited to go back to Pereira because I feel like I have a warm welcome and a real friend there waiting for me in Pereira. And I don't know many places in the world that you can make that kind of true friendship happen so quickly. So that's something that I think Colombia has. So again, I think that the topic of the people in Colombia could really be its own series of why you need to come to Colombia. And really, the vlogs that I make, they're pretty focused on the people that I meet because they are pretty special culture of people. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video because I just want to give you guys a small taste. And if you're curious about more life in Colombia, please do check out my typical videos, their vlogs, and really give you a kind of daily, day-to-day feel of life in Colombia. But if you made it this far, I appreciate it. Please do leave a like down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment telling me about your experience in Colombia or your favorite thing about Colombia, because obviously you're here because you have a similar love for the country like I do. Thanks for staying tuned, and I hope you enjoyed it. All right, y'all. I'll be checking in with you guys soon. Peace out.